Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I'm going to be going over more information about this toxic jab that's still being promoted. And I just did my last show on this 2 days ago. So the title of this will be Bioweapon Blues 7. And you can go back and see all of them on Rockfin. And if you're listening to this on audio, if there's a pause, it's because I'm reading documents and picking stuff up live streaming. So people, when you hear this on the podcast, that's the reason why. But today I'm going to go over statements by arch criminal Rachel Walensky and her coterie of monsters and people surrounding her. And the title, the kind of theme that I've had in this is the quote from Shakespeare's Tempest. Hell is empty and the devils are all here. So these people are monsters and very evil. There's an interesting post that she put out, Walensky, on Twitter, with absolutely no, maybe 1 or 2 out of 100 people agreeing with her. So there's a huge gap, something as wide as a huge ravine between what's being put out by the federal government in the United States and other countries and what people on the ground, kind of the people with their ear to the ground are understanding about what's going on. And just more and more tales of injury and death are happening as we speak. There's another thing I'll read from too is a post by Kevin Sorbo, the actor. He has a huge following on Twitter. He says, "Does anybody regret the jab?" And they're just another tsunami of stories. Everybody's saying their horror stories of injury and death and suffering, which is still continuing. So I'm going to pull up some of her stuff. And there's going to be huge questions like, how did these people get into power? What's the nature of their personality? How are they getting paid? These are questions that need answering. But this is Rachel Walensky. Let's see. And there's two. This was interesting too, because this is something that I saw on her Twitter site. I don't understand. Maybe I just don't understand Twitter. But she had this post from either yesterday or the day before with tons of people commenting, likes, few retweets. But then you would go to another thing, click on it, and all the numbers would change. So here it's like 2,638 likes. And then it would change. Let me see if I can find that. I'll show it on when I go to Twitter. Yeah, myocarditis, strokes, autoimmune, huge problems. And what they're finding is that this injection resets people's immune system. And I do have solutions, so I talked about things from the FLCCC, but also there's another website about how to counteract the toxic shot. And so I think that there are some effective solutions. Some people are finding help. But there's going to be a whole new field of medicine for these shots. Like, I'm going to try to, let's see. Yeah, so this is 2 days ago. This is Rachel Walensky.
Thank you for joining today's Director Debrief. Updated.
Oh, no, I have a better one than that. Let's see. There's a lot of, here's the good one. This is get the double jab. I think I showed this before. This is a better version.
If you're 12 and above and previously vaccinated, it's time to go get an updated COVID-19 shot. Now, here are a couple of caveats because there are always a few caveats. If you got a recent infection or were recently vaccinated, it's reasonable to wait a few months. Now, we expect millions of people to get the shot this month, as folks get back to school, get back to work, and get back into their regular routines after the summer. And as the annual flu vaccination campaign kicks into high gear later this month and into early October, we expect millions will choose to get their COVID-19 shot at the same time, or over the course of the fall when people go in for routine checkups. The good news is you can get both your flu shot and COVID shot at the same time. It's actually a good idea. I really believe this is why God gave us 2 arms, one for the flu shot and the other one for the COVID shot.
Yeah, we know that they haven't tested that either. So that's just some guy talking out of corners of his mouth. These videos will go down in history as just absolutely incredible. Let's see if I can find this Rachel Walensky. Here we go.
That vaccinated people we can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today
into her crazy eyes too, man. Like there's a lot of problems.
That
I showed that last video of her like where she just shakes her head left and right like she knew. And that new data that came out from her, it's very telling from last year. They kept so much of the injuries in. It's really crazy. And this is 2 days ago, October 12th.
We can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick. We can
suggest. That's definitely not a scientific term. I can suggest a lot of things.
Kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
There's a lack of certainty there. They used to have a lot more certainty. It's very strange that they would kind of change that around. Let's see. These are just incredibly nuts. This is Fauci being caught just totally baloneying. This won't last well for him either.
So now we have 2 vaccines that are really quite effective, highly effective, virtually 100% efficacious.
Yeah, this is all saying highly effective, so this is all propaganda. All that propaganda will come out. 100% effective. It just came out in the EU that they didn't even try it effectively. They had to move at the speed of science to the demands of the market. You can just see the numbers going down 197, 95. Until it gets here at 0. They have to go to the point where it gets like you have AIDS. Like you literally create a cytokine storm in your body and you get AIDS. Let's see. This guy's totally unhinged, Keith Olbermann. He literally is going to foam at the mouth. So if you're sensitive to that, don't watch it. But look at all these people who are just like, you're afraid of this shot. And the language surrounding the shot and how it was structured, I think is really important. Calling something that isn't a vaccine, calling you an anti-vaxxer, where a lot of people have already gotten vaccines, but they were concerned about this particular shot.
They're afraid.
Time to stop coddling the people who won't get the shot.
Booster shot. Mission accomplished. And it is time to stop coddling them, the ones who won't get the damn shot already. And our first step, you and I, is symbols, the language we use. We call these people vaccine hesitant, vaccine skeptics, anti-vax. We say they're protesting mandates and passports. They're making a personal choice. They're waiting for more information. They're making a medical decision. Bullshit! They're afraid. They're afraid to get vaccinated. Stop feeding their egos about what they're doing. Stop legitimizing it. Vaccine hesitant, they're afraid. Vaccine skeptics, they're afraid. Anti-vax, they're afraid. They're protesting mandates and passports, they're afraid. They're making a personal choice, they're afraid. They're waiting for more information, afraid. They're making a medical decision to be afraid. The snowflakes are afraid. Afraid of the vaccine. Afraid of being proved wrong. Afraid of doing what anybody else in the world tells them to do. Afraid of needles. So no more pleasant euphemisms about what's going on here. Apart from the people who have legitimate medical complications about vaccines, we have to stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot. We start by calling them what they are. They are all snowflakes and cowards and idiots and losers. And most importantly, they are afraid.
Yeah, you should really be afraid, especially on the medical advice given by these people. I'd be terrified. Fauci and Walensky. And I talked about this. I was on a podcast about what happens in society when you have a zero trust society, because nobody will trust these people or politicians ever again after the totality of their understanding of what really happened sinks into their brains. Like, how can you have a society with people just who are pathological liars that lead to death? Like, they're killing children right now. So how can you have a society that functions like that? And I mean, some of these stats are off the charts. I talked about the last show. Hodgkinson, I think, was the doctor. Great credentials. I'll show them here in the slides. I think he was a medical degree from Cambridge. 20 million dead worldwide, 2 billion injured. I mean, I don't know if I can verify that, but that is a biblical event. So, and I think that they're still ongoing, these attacks. And I think maybe that was the plan on the rollout of these shots, was really to one of the components of this kind of information warfare. And you really are involved in information warfare, but was to really attack and undermine people who are trying to tell the truth. And it just happened. I mentioned this guy from Florida, and I think I mentioned in one of my earlier talks on this bioweapon blues, is that the real facts were going to come from state agencies or state attorney generals. It's not going to come from Washington. It's way too captured and corrupt. And this guy Lodopo came out and said, hey, there's an 84% increase in cardiac problems with this control. I think the group was 18 to 45. He was attacked by establishment people, TV, mocked. I don't think he anticipated it. And I don't know if I have a video of that, but he was ferociously attacked, much like Joe Rogan was ferociously attacked. All these other people who were really trying to tell the truth. And that'll be one of the components, I think, of these criminal trials that have to take place, is how did these attacks and why did they attack them? Why are they attacking horse paste or ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine? And Trump was attacked as well. And he was trying to tell the truth, but he was up against experienced monsters like Fauci, who should be arrested immediately. It's a monster. So let's see. I think that I'll just go to these threads with that are on Twitter. I think they're pretty fascinating. So the Sorbo thread, and let's see, this is the Sorbo thread. This is from October 12th, 2022. I've tried to screenshot a lot of these, but I'm just going to scroll through and read them. I think they're really interesting because these are the more flood of testimonies. It's just more of this stuff. It's questions. Kevin Sorbo, actor, was he Hercules? Ask anyone regret getting the jab? And then it's guy Shavo says, yes, sir. That poke cost me half my small intestine and a year of recovery. Trudy says, I chose it, but I chose it willingly. That what's done is done. Next, Kevin says, I got it because I had a double lung transplant and doctors insisted. I was hospitalized after both shots. They want me to get a booster at the end of the month. I don't want to, but it could impact the decision on further treatment. It shouldn't, but it will. And then here's another one. Vaccine injured, BBIUK. Yes, we all do at $5.1. Vaccine injured and bereaved UK. Our lives have been changed forever through injury or bereavement. The saddest part is we've been ignored and victimized for the past 18 months. I'm glad people are finally seeing the truth. Lawrence says, hell yes, cardio suffered and was very measurable in CrossFit. Next, Huckleberry says, yep, my jugular and subclavian veins have thrombosed, and I'm now on blood thinners twice a day. Getting the jab was one of the worst things I've ever done. And then he gets insulted. He seems to have people who don't like him, Kevin Sorbo. But, anyone regret reading this tweet? Werner says, not in the lead stats, don't lie. Let's see. Madison says, I never took it and I couldn't be happier or healthier. Hip Dog says, no, I regret that we have ended up with so many selfish, easily conned people in this country. And then there's a funny meme here. Big Pharma runs the media And then somebody responds, that would be in the news, which obviously it's not. Gail says, didn't have it, no regrets. Yep, same here. Dr. Brian Aim, regret not. Jerry says, I'd rather get COVID every year for the next 10 years than be forced against my will to take an experimental mRNA shot that can only be given via Emergency Use Authorization Act and absolves the pharmaceutical industry from liability, who also wanted to hide all related data from 75 years from us. Hixie says, I don't regret not getting it. Regina says, spent last week caring for family members with COVID. Thanks to the booster, I was able to be of help and stayed safe. Just finished 7 days of quarantine, still negative. So she's very grateful for the vaccine. Tony says, I swear I thought this said anyone not getting the jab, but then realized you haven't had one in 34 years. Jackie says, I do, but more than that, I regret encouraging my son, daughter-in-law, and their 2 boys. Robert says, no, nor the booster. Science is a good thing. Tom says, feeling fine after 4th dose. If available, I will get further doses. So there's a lot of arguments going on in here. David Hogg. I mean, a lot of people are on here. Anna says, it's fine. I just lost the entire year of being 34 to debilitating neuro issues. At least I'm not dead. SF Mom says, same. Ongoing neuro issues. Thanks, Moderna. You stole my health in one shot. Nicholas says, the same people that got jabbed are the same people that believe 9/11 was in the Middle East, and there are the same people who don't like Trump because of all the media said so. I see a pattern. So there's a lot of just stories here in Kevin Sorbo. But this is Rochelle Walensky. She's like incredible. This is just incredible stuff. Yeah, they get removed from YouTube because I take them off. I don't leave this stream on YouTube. You can go to Rockfin under William Ramsey Investigates and watch all my videos that I'll be putting up there. And then the audio will go to William Ramsey Investigates. And you can listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere. So this is Walensky. I just recommended expanding updated COVID-19 vaccines to children 5 to 11 years. This is a critical step in our fight against COVID-19. An updated vaccine can help bolster protection for our children this winter. Talk to your child's healthcare provider for more information. So, I mean, you can just go through these answers are incredible. I mean, there's almost nobody who's on point with it. And there's Rob Ruse. I think I mentioned him the last time. Somebody has a picture of a check. There's Ruse again. So people are posting opposite things. And this is a statement from, I think it's from Denmark. I don't know who Dr. Offit is, but he seems to pop up all the time. I mean, it's just a ton of information. I mean, I'll put links to these. I would recommend people just reading through it. Lack of data, PR, myocarditis, Danish Health Authority. This is criminal. So it just goes on and on and on and on. But I think I'll go to those slides. So this is slide. Yeah, this is it. Walensky I just mentioned. And then Borla says the same thing. This is October 12th. I'm pleased to share we have received emergency use authorization from the U.S. FDA. Why is there still an emergency for Omicron B4, B5 adapted COVID-19 V? It's really that doesn't prevent anything. For children age 5 to 11, this is an important milestone as we head to the winter months. So these guys are murderers. Murner. This is what he said back in January 10th, 2022. 2 doses of the vaccine offers very limited protection, if any. And then they moved the goalpost. So, like, why haven't people gotten wise to the goalpost moving? Like, I would say that if somebody changed their statement, that would be prima facie evidence of some type of fraud going on. There's just a whole host of things that have to go through. People need to get the contracts that were signed between the governments and these corporations and the waste and fraud. I mean, I talked about that in the last couple of things about how they over purchased the doses. American Academy of Pediatrics, exciting day for kids ages 5-11 who are now eligible for the updated COVID booster. And they never got sick. None of those kids ever got sick. If you ever watched any of the information, they're very like 99.999% risk for young children. And so this is murder. This is mass murder. Mr. T, he drank the Kool-Aid. This is from October 12th. Mr. T, the actor. I thank God for another day. I just received my annual flu shot and COVID-19 Moderna update booster, and I feel good. My left arm is a little sore, but you know. This is Dr. Marty Makari. This is October 12th. It appears the FDA no longer requires clinical trial data. Pfizer and Moderna's new Omicron vax, tested in 8 mice, was authorized today for children who are at the highest risk of vaccine-induced myocarditis. FBI bypassed their expert advisors, the most political FDA and CDC in U.S. history. This is just another person who got sick, Emmeline. This is a response to Sorbo. Yes, I was a healthy touring musician before, but after 1 Pfizer vax, I have small fiber neuropathy, POTS, trouble walking, pain 24/7, and can't work. No COVID either, did extensive testing. 50 months later, still no help from government. Biggest mistake of my life. Hashtag, can we talk about it? This is Claudine replies to Sorbo. My fully vaccinated family and friends, 31 COVID cases post-vax, 2 miscarriages, 6 strokes, 4 heart attacks, 2 deaths, 1 blood clot's an eye, 1 blood clot in the leg, brain tumor, and 2 cancer returned quickly. My fully unvaccinated family members, nothing to report. Mark says in a response to Sorbo, yeah, I feel as if I've aged dramatically in the last 2 years. Persistent arthritic pain in multiple joints and fatigue. Blood tests reveal nothing obvious. There's another doctor, October 12th. COVID is likely to increase this fall and winter. Staying up to date on vaccination decreases your risk of severe illness from COVID. Make plans to get a booster now. Yeah, I'll pass. Hard pass. This is actually an old one from April from a doctor named Horowitz. The failure of the mRNA shots is on display for all with open eyes. And this is one of the vaccine kind of Nazis. And McElvoy, the unvaccinated have become a lethal liability we can ill afford. Well, it's going to turn out in time that just the opposite. This is December 2021. Another one, Andrew Neil. It's time to punish Britain's 5 million vaccine refuseniks. It's not a vaccine. So. And Howard Stern, to imbecile anti-vaxxers, go F yourself. Quote, when are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say it's mandatory to get vaccinated? F them. F their freedom. Wow. That's a devil. It's another monster. And then there's just more stories coming forward. It's a flood of stories, and the ideal place is to centralize at least some of the stories. Not, you don't have to put everything in one place, but at least show the enormity of the injury and disability. I mean, obviously, people need to speak for the dead who died, but the enormity of the injury. This is 5 TikTokers share their shocking injuries they claim were caused by the COVID-19 shot. This is Eric Topol. This is very recent. A new long COVID nationwide study from Scotland with matched controls, 6 to 18 months follow-up, showed 6% no recovery. 42% had only partial recovery with poor quality of life and wide-ranging impairment of their daily activities, which could not be explained by confounding. So I think they're confirming that people are getting sick. I have a lot of listeners. Well, YouTube has clearly throttled my subscribers. My old channel had 15,000. So YouTube is garbage, it's a trash company, and Google's evil. But like I went over to Rockfin and like not that long ago, 3 or 4 days, a week ago or something like that. So I would recommend just going to Rockfin. You can watch the stream on Rockfin, and I'll keep it up on Rockfin. They won't censor me, I hope. Abilities Research Center. Want to hear something scary? Between 7 and 23 million Americans have developed long COVID. Do you want to hear something scary? Those numbers are expected to rise. And there's another one. Ali says, my severe MECFS long COVID has taken everything from me at 23. My mobility, my photography business, my relationships, my school, my appetite, and my ability to take care of myself. But I will beat this. I have no choice, even if it takes years. Thankful for everyone's words. So a lot of these people are clearly injured, and many of these injuries may not have happened if they got proper treatment and accurate treatment and accurate health advice. So a lot of what I'm understanding, I'm not a doctor, but if people got the proper protocols early, once they got sick, a lot of these people would not have these lingering injuries. So you can rest that responsibility on the government, Fauci, Walensky, and these monsters. Truly evil people. Then just kind of going into, there's like stories about the promotion of these vaccines, who was promoting, the interests, some of these other doctors who've been around, and some of these doctors are getting the clue. This is Stephen Phillips, MD, October 12th. I just heard from an MD friend that his good friend, also a physician, went blind in one eye from clots in his retinal arteries and veins. I'm told that his ophthalmologists all agree as to the most likely cause. So many healthcare people I know are having, quote, mystery, unquote, illnesses. It's not a mystery. Trudy says, I'm vaxxed. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. It does not show causality, but there's a common denominator in all the stories I'm hearing from colleagues and friends. Recent stroke 1, pulmonary embolism 2, heart disease 7, yet most remain quiet. And then a response is by Christy. They're remaining quiet because they've been told, the administrators at their wonderful hospitals, that they're not allowed to claim that the injury caused that, and that if they don't get additional boosters, they can walk out the door. What are they supposed to do for jobs? And then this is Peter Halligan. This is the guy who came up with the 20 million and 2 billion injured. And I'll put a link to this. This is yesterday. And he asked, who is Peter Halligan? And, why isn't this stopping? He has a lot of questions about the rapid antigen test. This is a kind of a no. I think this guy's on Fox News, or was. Steve Hilton says the entire basis for vaccine mandates just collapsed. Pfizer admits it was never intended to prevent transmission. Everyone fired must be reinstated, compensated. Every bureaucrat, corporate executive who did this must be made to pay. Bring on the lawsuits, paging PNJ ban. Jay Cochran to the CDC. Warning, there's a CDC director on the loose, and she is trying to blindfold people with lies and misinformation and lead them over a cliff instead of taking the better route. An example of her lies. Yeah, she's a monster. These are the children of Cain, sons of Cain. They're not their brother's keeper. They are not the catcher in the rye. And you look into her eyes, man. Wow. She's going to go down in history as one of the biggest malevolent creatures ever to live. Like a freak. A U.S. like a freak. Like, how did she get born? How did this happen? This is Paul Alexander. I found out he worked under Trump for a little bit. He writes, it's very prolific on Substack. He writes, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, essentially now says to doctors, agree with us or shut up, face your medical license being suspended and your career doomed by us. And that's a Wall Street Journal article he references. So you have flat out blatant totalitarianism in California. And Newsom is a monster because he's mandated shots for everybody through the whole state. And he probably knows what's going on. I would assume. That would be my opinion. And my understanding is he was actually vaccine injured. I think he had eye problems from his first shot, is my understanding. And I'll have to go back and double check that, but they covered that up. He was like missing in action for 7 days, if I remember. This is the Danish Health Authority, vaccination of children against COVID-19. Children and adolescents rarely become severely ill from Omicron variant of COVID-19. From 1st of July 2022, it was no longer possible for children and adolescents age under 18 to get the first injection. And then after September 1st, it was no longer possible for them to get the second injection. So you have the science, two different scientists, two different countries with absolute opposite applications. So you can't trust the science of whoever's whatever weird Wizard of Oz science that is. But if you have two variations, and I think this is very important because people are getting two different things, but the US is still, the train is still going down the track. The crazy train is still going down the track. And people are going to die. Children are going to die. This is a meme. It is not normal for me to get myocarditis, pericarditis, strokes, heart attacks, blood clots, functional neurological disorder, Bell's palsy, and spontaneous death. Stand up for me before it's too late. This is Vigilant Fox. I've mentioned his name. He's doing really good work. I'll put a link to that. His stuff you can check out on Substack. He's doing videos too, but he's on the story, and I've shown a couple of his videos. But this is a screenshot he took of Robert F. Kennedy, who wrote the book about the real Anthony Fauci. But he says, quote, if you were born before 1989, your chance of having a chronic disease is 12%. If you were born after 1989, the year they changed the vaccine schedule, your chance of having a chronic disease is 54%. 40 years ago, children received 5 vaccines. Now they are mandated to receive 72. So you just have kids who are being poisoned. And I think this event, you have to kind of walk back the cat and look at the other shots. What is in the other shots? Like, you trust these people? Trust them at all. Zero trust society. You're now, it's like AD 2022. People were naive and trust, and now you have zero trust. You cannot listen to anything coming out of their mouths. You're in a completely different universe, man. Completely different. And Eli David, this is Albert Bourla, and he says, prevent COVID. Who is spreading misinformation? Right? So who's spreading information? And he's quoting Albert Bourla, who says, emergency uses of the bivalent vaccine have not been approved or licensed by the US FDA, but have been authorized to prevent COVID-19. So he's saying it prevents COVID-19. Demon from the pit of hell. Should be arrested. Bourla, Fauci, Walensky. Usually you stop, the government or the police stop serial killers from killing more people. Why isn't that happening? This is interesting too, because Frank Luntz is kind of a behavioral, I think he was one of those people who runs those kind of public groups, like where they get the groups down to ask him questions. But this is interesting. So Emily says, my decision not to get vaccinated does not affect everyone else's health. Full stop. The scared vaccinated are dividing our communities and country. This is August 2021. Luntz responds, your claim is objectively false. Being vaccinated prevents us from spreading it to people who are unable to get vaccinated. So, Guardian, only proper online regulation can stop poisonous conspiracists like Alex Jones. I wouldn't trust the Guardian at all. I did an interview with a reporter from the Guardian, and it was just a total woke investigate. I mean, the questions were incredible. And then I didn't even show up in the article. I think he mentioned me once, but I spent like an hour and a half with him, and it was just like deflecting all of these, like, it was like an interrogation with a knife behind their back. Like they're trying to get you to say something, trying to get me to say something inflammatory or something that would expose stuff. I mean, I would never sit down and talk with the Guardian again, ever. Hyde for Senate today in Congress. No relief money for Florida. No. Border wall. No. Declare fentanyl emergency. No. Help homeless veterans. No. Fix the pothole in front of my house. No. Save the Tatas. I don't know what that is. No. Send another $12 billion to Ukraine. Yes. So the government's just totally insane. This is the guy who took. So you had this. I showed that earlier, where I think it's Rye was recommending getting your COVID shot plus your flu shot together. Well, this guy took that and died. Tragically, vaccine advocate Junior Paz in Brazil died suddenly and unexpectedly. Wow, they use the same terms. After receiving new COVID vaccine and flu vaccine at the same time. Probably was never studied. They know what they're doing. This is just murder. And this is about long COVID. Combination of two vascular biomarkers can identify live COVID, long COVID with 96% accuracy, according to the study. It's related to endothelial injury, and I've talked about that. Authors suggest angiogenesis, development of new blood vessels, as a target for potential treatment. So it like cauterizes or scrapes off the interior part of your blood vessels. So it's like something that gets in it, like your skin prevents things from this prevents this type of thing from happening. But shoving it into your body through a shot is catastrophic. It really is. Dr. Eli David, CDC director, has 378,000 followers, yet her tweet on new boosters for children has only 199 likes after 12 hours. I call her an incompetent clown. Let's see how many likes I get for saying that. So he had like 1,129 back when I took the screenshot. She's a monster. Paul Alexander, again, CDC and FDA pure insanity derangement once again by authorizing boosters for children 5 years old. Why? What data on risk are these insane, illogical, specious, reckless health officials looking at? Health officials believe new boosters targets the Omicron BA.5 subvariant and will provide substantially better protection against infection and disease. Approval was based on no direct effectiveness data. And then here's a meme. It says, the problem with natural immunity is that it's free. Ben, lawyer, says, this is yesterday, October 13th, 2022. My young, skinny, healthy friend had a stroke after her third jab. She just tested positive for COVID for a third time in 18 months. People need to go to prison, not pay a fine, not issue an apology. Effing prison. Yeah, and at what point do the people realize that the shots don't work? Like, if you took all the shots and still got sick, like, why aren't you making that kind of conscious acknowledgement in your mind that you got bamboozled, right? So another article, Rhoda Wilson, October 9th, 2022, how Bill Gates and partners' money controlled the world's draconian COVID plan. So it'll be interesting as people research all this and it becomes more evident and more known among the people what the totality of what happened. The introductory 2 paragraphs read, the shift in power from governments overwhelmed by COVID-19 to a group of 4 non-governmental organizations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Gavi, the Wellcome Trust, and CEPI, CEPI, is astounding and extremely concerning. Throughout the first 3 months of the pandemic, the 4 organizations jumped ahead of the governments in charting the global nature of the response. The Gates Foundation and Wellcome began to invest and announce grants to companies working to produce tests and treatments for COVID. Beyond beginning to grant millions of dollars, CEPI and other organizations set up international consortiums to shapeshift the world's initial response to the pandemic through the World Health Organization. This is remarkable. This is yesterday, October 3rd, 2022. Ontario College of Physicians and Surgeons recommends giving psychiatric drugs to those who have vaccine hesitancy. Canada is gone, man. You don't even have to I wonder what's going to happen in the future. The future is now. Look at Canada. Just a freak show, just run by a monster named Trudeau and just these totalitarian things where they locked your bank account and we're going to prosecute people for that trucker drive. I don't even know if that's happening. It's just unbelievable. It's the opposite of liberty. The poll lady says, here's Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, Joe Biden, and many others repeatedly stating it stops transmission, top-level misinformation, right? So they're the real misinformationalists. This is interesting. The unvaccinated variant, you can follow him. I recommend that. But his quote is from Marcus Aurelius, which is, quote, the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane, unquote. Well said. This is Steve Kirsch, another guy I've mentioned, October 14th today. The Israeli Ministry of Health confirms to Reuters that the leaked vac safety video is legit. Top Israeli researchers told the Israeli Ministry of Health that they are lying about the safety of the COVID vaccines. The MOH ignored the request. Nobody is talking to the Epoch Times. The Epoch Times has been doing a lot of inquiries into the vaccine effects as well. And this is the guy, Roger Hodgkinson, who put out the information. I did a video of him yesterday, but he is the CEO and medical director of MedMal Doctors, but he received his general medical degrees from Cambridge University in the UK, MA, MB, B.Chir, or he was a scholar at the Corpus Christi College. He became a Royal College certified general pathologist and is also a fellow of the College of American Pathologists. So he's an expert in pathology, so he would know these guys. Just like McCullough and Risch, Harvey Risch, I think they're both epidemiologists. So they specifically study epidemics and how things go through. So they're the right type of doctor to talk or to be informed and inform you about what's going on. And this is the these contracts are very important. People need to get on their contracts and see what actually was signed. This is one. I think this is from Halligan. One of the more disturbing accusations about COVID vaccine contracts has been that Pfizer reportedly demanded Argentina and Brazil put up their sovereign assets, e.g., embassy buildings and military bases, as a guarantee against the cost of any future legal cases. Wow. Did Australia do something similar to secure the Pfizer vaccines? It is not so far-fetched, given that the port of Darwin has been leased to the Chinese for 99 years. Wow. I mean, you don't know what they gave away. And you don't know what Pfizer asked for. Because that's very cunning in a contract as well. If they know they want guarantees against the cost of future, they anticipated future legal costs, just like they had to pay out a $2.2 billion fine. So the strategy is to make as much, I mean, and this is it happens throughout the pharmaceutical industry, which is they know there's going to be onerous and expensive litigation, but they want to make enough money up front to cover that cost so they come out ahead, right? Even the payout comes out okay. So, I mean, that's kind of my opinion, but I think that plays out. There's just interesting things that this is a really important article, so I'll put a link through it, but or to it. And that is who this person is in Australia. It said Ms. Halton was the chair of the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, CEPI, which is mentioned in this other article. CEPI had its foundation in Davos, Switzerland, which still hosts the WEF. Klaus Schwab is founder and head of the WEF and wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset, his vision for the future of humanity. Halton was also Australia's delegate to Event 201. Event 201 was the pandemic simulation event conducted October 18th, 2019. And you will find a lot of it familiar. Again, look at the funders of this event. So Event 201, people have talked a lot about that. And that's a crucial marker, signpost for this whole thing, is that they war gamed it. So then that happened in fake world or whatever, and then here the real world application. I leave you with the following information published January 10th, 2022. Please note the timeline Pfizer wanted for releasing the documents. The safety data is readily available if you care to look. And many doctors and scientists provide good breakdowns of the data. Did our TGA see this trial data before provisional approval of Pfizer? Is that why Pfizer hasn't been fully approved? We tried to warn you, my God, we tried our best. Release the contracts, unredacted. And then there's toxic metals and the COVID shots. This is an interview with Dr. Mark Trozzi, Trozzi. And it's just they're poisoning everything. Everything's getting I mean, it's not even funny. But the analysis shows that the vials of Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson contain numerous elements that do not belong to the human body and have strong potency to harm it, such as cobalt, iron, aluminum, chromium, titanium, silicon, sulfur, and others. None of these were declared by the manufacturers. Scientists who also analyzed the blood samples of the vaccinated and unvaccinated people. It found that injected people had 100% consistently altered blood with damaged red blood cells that often stuck to each other, even to the extreme of rouleau formulation. That, according to the doctor, explains the high risk of blood clotting in vaccinated people. 100%. 100% altered blood. It's incredible. That's why it's a bioweapon. Like, when you look at the injuries, the different types and everything, it's not some kind of like random harm, in my opinion. This is the VSafe data. This came out of Walensky, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. VSafe data suggests that VAERS underreporting factor, or URF, averages over 60 for the many different adverse symptoms. The other prior estimate was 40, so it's actually 1/3 higher. This implies previous deaths and injuries are 50% higher than prior estimates. So I recommend this reading. Peter Halligan. It's today, October 14th, 2022. The great team at VAERS Analysis have done some excellent work on comparing the recently released VSafe data from 10 million cell phone contributors on their experiences with the C19 injections with the output from VAERS. The bottom line, VSafe data indicates a wide range of different URFs, or underreported factors, for each type of adverse event, but indicates that the average URF across all symptoms is over 60, compared to the likely URF of 41 using narrower symptom analysis compiled by Dr. Jessica Rose from VAERS data here. It's incredible. And this is the public doing the work. This should be coming from the government. Government should be compiling this information, should be transparent, should be easily accessible. There shouldn't be this thing where there's deliberate means to like underreport. It's off the top. It's over the top. Fox Now, consumers are alleging a popular breakfast cereal is making them sick. FDA investigating complaints that Lucky Charms causes gastrointestinal issues. I'm not surprised. VAERS underreporting multiplier. This is a booklet that I downloaded, and you can look through and just goes through all the injuries. It's, I think, 250 case studies, and you can get it for free. You can just read through, and they're very detailed. Somebody's done very good work. And it's under Jab Injuries Australia on Instagram. 200K units of the Injuries Australia booklet will be available to the public of Victoria for distribution Saturday, 29th October. And you can check that out. I'll put a link to that as well. And it is interesting. I mean, I think Alex Jones is pertinent to the whole toxic shot program, because people were giving out disinformation that literally harmed people. And that's supposedly what Jones did, is gave out disinformation or misinformation that caused a harm. So I think that this is like, these people are all legally culpable under these standards, I would say. So it's a 250-page document with roughly 200 stories, and it's at jabinjuriesglobal.com download. So you can see that. I'll put that in the notes so you can check that out. This is Paul Alexander from today. The Pfizer mRNA vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 reprograms both adaptive and innate immune responses. Pfizer vaccine also modulated production of inflammatory cytokines by innate immune. This key paper by Foz showed us that mRNA vaccine, e.g. Pfizer, was and is disturbing and deranging the immune system, namely both the acquired and innate responses. I decided to re-highlight. The innate immune system is the first line of defense. It explains why there is a surge in ordinarily benign and latent infections and illnesses, including cancers. And then this is another one, the Spike Protein Detox Guide, just re-updated October 1st, 2022. And that is on the World Council for Health.org. So you can check that out if you've taken this shot, or anybody you know. I would get on one of these detox programs, intermittent fasting. anything. This is Dr. Zoe. She says most people who decline mRNA injections had every vaccine since birth. The insult, quote, anti-vaxxer, unquote, wasn't even accurate. You're right. This is unapologetically free. Help me understand. The vaccine doesn't prevent infection. It doesn't prevent transmission. It doesn't prevent severe outcome, hospitalization, or death from COVID-19. So what exactly does the vaccine do? And then David says, so I turned up to work this morning and I've had to go on a training course to learn how to use a defibrillator. The local authority says cardiac arrest and major heart incidents are up by 74% in the last year. Holy effing S. It's all unraveling before our eyes now. Sure is. And then this is a meme. Alex Jones fined $1 billion for misinformation. And then it's like Anthony Fauci. October 5th on the Tonight Show with Colbert. Spreading misinformation. I mean, on recorded tape. Super obvious. Like these are timestamps. Very important in legal cases too. Like when did he say it? What did he say? He's in trouble. This is a young guy, Tom. Yesterday, I had a heart attack. My cardiovascular system is completely normal and healthy. But last week, I took the Pfizer vaccine, and there are reports that it's been causing heart complications. Most causes have been ruled out, and it looks like Pfizer may have done this to me. Yeah, I would say so. And this is Tulsi Gabbard. I guess she's denying that she was part of the World Economic Forum. I have to look into this, but like I just read earlier, the WEF and all this stuff went through Davos, Switzerland, a lot of the implications of the rollouts internationally. Somebody asked Tulsi, why are you part of the WEF? She responded, I'm not. Were you featured as one of the young leaders of the WEF? And Tulsi said, they put my picture on their site without asking, never had anything to do with them. So that's about it. I mean, I do think that it's still ongoing. It's still rolling out, and there's going to be more deaths, more injuries. But I will put links in the show notes to some of the new articles that I mentioned. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Yeah, I mean, you don't even know what they're putting in to this stuff. I don't know. Who has recommendations for guests? Somebody recommended that I have this one guy. I just forgot his name. Somebody recommended. It wasn't Last American Vagabond. I know who that is. So I'm trying to go back. I'll have to just go back through the show notes. But some of these names, I don't know some of these people. Talked about Matt Arrett, who I talked to from Canada. I didn't know his name, but people told me I should interview him. It's a great interview. Really does really great work. Show notes are always at the bottom when you post something on to a podcast distributor like Spreaker. There's the actual show, the link to the audio, and then underneath that are show notes. So there's usually information that people put, either whether they're promoting a product or have links to something or links to somebody's website. You'll see that. So if people are listening, and there's show notes on YouTube, there's show notes on Rockman. So if people are watching it there, you can just click on those links. Interview Chris Pinto. That's a good idea. Okay, that was Bioweapon 7. Thank you for listening.